99.9999996% of people have no clue who you are.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you as always for joining me. You guys are going to get an update episode, but also this is going to be a really good episode on how to reward yourself for doing the right things in your business, how to incentivize yourself for doing the thing that every single one of you need to do to grow your business today, which is marketing. That's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast. You're probably like, what's all those noises? Well, I'm not inside. I'm actually outside. I'm in my new neighborhood. It's over here. And we are in Orlando. And the good news is that we're pretty much, for the most part, settled in. Everybody's got beds. Everybody's room is all set up. But there's one room in the house that's not set up, and that is my office/studio. Okay, so as you've been following my journey, I recently moved to Orlando. I shut down my office. We ended the lease we told them about 4 months ago, that we no longer are going to be using the office. We are all working remotely. And, as you know, if you're in my programs, you know this, like pretty much everything we do is primarily event-based. People work with us, my different properties. It's been phenomenal. We just finished a week in our Georgia home. It was phenomenal, but we really don't need the office anymore. And I'm going to be working from home. But the office and the podcast studio and all that other stuff is not set up yet. We're going to start the process of doing that with the guys that I hire for AV. He's a great friend of mine, Larry. He's going to start that, and he's bringing his team on Friday to my house. But it's going to be a little process, and I don't think you guys get to see an episode in there until we get it done. So maybe another 2 weeks or so. But I said, you know what? All right, let's get an episode in tonight. Let's talk about something I told the clients in Georgia this past week. So let me tell you what I did with them. And by the way, if you guys are interested in what I'm saying, you're like, man, I would love to do that too, I'll give you a way for you to reach out to us. So what I did with them is we have been writing books, okay? And a book has always been something that I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to bother doing it, okay? It was too much work, too much energy, too much stress. I just feel like I know I need to communicate with my clients. I know I need to convey a message to my clients. I know I need to market to my clients. I know I need to give value to my clients. And I feel like for me, the most streamlined, easy way to do it is to speak to you all. Okay. Even though I know that people love to consume books, I know that people love to consume audiobooks even more than books now. I know that books will create massive authority. I know that books open up so many opportunities. I just didn't want to go through the pain of writing a book for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months. Just had no desire to do it. But things have changed today. Things have changed today with the technology that we have with AI. And over the last 8 to 9 months, ironically, that's funny, we have been putting together a system and a process to get our clients to be able to write books. I've been doing this for 10 years online. I've been a consultant since 2009, but I've been doing this primarily online with SSPT for 10 years now. From year 0, or year 1, I should say, to year 9, I personally wrote 0 books. This past 8 months, I've written 7 books. And I think all the books are really, really good. And I could not have done that without the process that I showed my clients this past week. And not just having a bunch of AI crap. No, we're not doing that. But basically getting clients to be able to write stories that they have, different types of stories that people resonate with, being able to use a lot of different tools to integrate into it so that the book is extremely relatable. It creates a love, and a trust factor with you. And so basically that's what we did. I had 2 waves of people come in, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We took a break midway through the week on Thursday and did a lake day. And then we did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it was phenomenal. And guess what? Every single person that came to that event, I think we had 5, the first wave, 3 people had flights that got canceled. So we only had 5. But then the next wave we had 10, 11, 12. It was 10 to 12 people in the next wave. And every single person, call it 15 people total, they all finished their book, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I'm going to tell you something, a little takeaway from the event that I think is really important. I shared this on the final day of the event, okay? We use day 1 and day 2 to create our outlines and actually write our chapters in the book. My team, after people finish their chapters of writing the book, and we were able to write, by the way, these are not 20-page books. The books are anywhere between 215 to 285 pages. Some books up to 300 pages. They're 30,000 word books. We were able to finish everyone's book and do our first round of edits. For most people, they even got through their second round of edits before they left over the 3 days. We have a phenomenal process, and we were able to do that on day 1 and day 2 and going into day 3. But I spent the third part of day 3 talking about, well, who cares if you write a book? How are you going to use that book to make your business better? And that's one of the things I want to talk about on this podcast episode today. And that is, like, how do you use assets to build the major asset? Okay. A book is an asset, right? So what's an asset? An asset is a product. It is something that has the ability to bring people value, and you don't have to be in front of them. Okay. So like the house that I bought here, is this an asset? Not really. I mean, it's a home that we're living in. It's not making me money. I'm paying to live there. Okay. But the other properties that I have are all assets, right? Okay. I pay for the house. This could be a future asset one day, right? I could, like, if I sell it one day for more than I bought it for, great. It's going to be an asset. But today it's not an asset. But my other places are assets because those homes are making me money and I don't have to physically be there. And actually in all the homes now, I have property managers. So I really don't need to do anything. I just need to pay the bills for the home, and they need to rent out the homes, and I get more money from renting it out than what I pay with regards to the bills. And they're all assets. Great. And hopefully they appreciate and they get more valuable as time goes on, and I make more money and I pay off the places and all the other good stuff. And it's a beautiful thing. Okay. By the way, sorry for all the noise, but this is what you get for this podcast, at least during this time, y'all. And so that's great, right? A book is an asset as well. It's a different asset, but it is an asset. It's something that I can make one time, and then it's something that could pay me. And the only way it's going to pay me is if I get it in front of more people, and it gives those people value, and it has the ability to pay me over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. And so a book is an asset, and then I can use that asset to build other assets. So here's basically the premise, the strategy that I was given to my clients. Let's use the book, which is a mini asset, then feed into the bigger asset, which is your business. Okay. So I guess this is the big thing that I shared with them. I was like, and how do we really grow the business? So like, what's the primary problem with the majority of us, especially those of us that are doing under, $1 million a year? I mean, honestly, even if I'm doing over $1 million a year, I still think it's the biggest problem for me. So whether you're doing under 5 million a year, let's call it, I think that for the majority, most of us, the problem is marketing. Most of us don't do enough marketing. This is what I told my clients. Okay. I'm going to share this with you. 99.9999996% of people have no clue who you are. They don't know you exist. They have absolutely no clue that you even exist today. Now, the people that know you, but most people don't know you. I mean, even like this podcast, like, the chances that Apple or Spotify is going to put this podcast out to people that don't know me is slim to none. That's why I have to do other things and go onto other platforms to where I'm giving myself a chance or an opportunity for other people to know me. This is why I got to be on other people's podcasts. This is why I have to serve other people's audiences. That's why I have to make life better for people. This is why I have to be on Facebook, and I have to be on Instagram, and I have to be on YouTube, and I have to be in other places. I have to go and speak on stages. I have to do that because 99.9996% of people don't know who Greg Todd is and don't know what Greg Todd does and how Greg Todd can make their life better for them. It's just the reality. That's just the way that it is. So the reality is that most of us, our issue is lack of marketing. We don't do enough of it. We're not strategic with it. And we really don't want to make time for it because we're not really that good at it. We're good at treating. We're good at, doing the thing that we spent all of our years doing and learning in school. But our businesses go out of business because we don't market. So one of the big things that I told them is that I love a book, and I love the fact that over the 3 days together, not only were we able to create a book, but we're able to create, I have a lot of different systems and processes that we use in the book to create context to every single chapter. One of the things I told my clients is this. By the way, this is just if you're going to ever write a book, I think it's extremely important. Number one, every chapter should stand on its own. Okay, meaning that if I'm looking at a book and I'm trying to decide, like, am I going to read this book? The first thing I'm going to do, besides looking at the cover of the book, looking maybe at the back cover of the book is I'm going to open up the book and look at the table of contents. And I'm going to see, like, if I just read one chapter of the book, and this is what people should feel with regards to your book. If I just read this one chapter of the book, would it be worth it to buy this book? Not just money-wise, right? But time-wise. Is it worth my time? So like if chapter 4 of a book is, hey, how to eliminate, reflux, let's just say, if you do GI stuff, or if it is how to stop, how to eliminate or lessen pelvic pain. If somebody's having pelvic pain and that's all it did, and that was just one chapter, and somebody's dealing with pelvic pain and they don't understand how to deal with it and manage it, that's enough for them to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to invest in that book. I'm going to invest my time and my money. So every single chapter should stand on its own. That's number one. And then number two is when you are writing a book, you are now creating frameworks and context to the things that you talk about. You're taking the crap that's in your head, and a book allows you, it forces you, especially if it's a good book, it forces you to basically create systems for all the crap that you know. Whether it's acronyms, it's frameworks, it's tips, it's hacks, it forces you to do that. And you know what that does? That gives you context to actually want to talk about things. It gives you context to want to share those things, whether it's via podcast, whether it's via Instagram reel, whether it's via Facebook post. These are all the things that you need to do in order to market, right? It gives you context to want to get on other people's stages. It gives you a reason. So if you do those two things that I just said, every chapter stands on its own. I can talk about one chapter, and that one chapter has its own specific result. I have now, in our books, we did 10 to 12 chapters for the book. I now have a book that has given me basically 10 to 12 topics that I can talk about, and I can reach out to host a podcast to be able to discuss. And then that allows me to go from 99.9996% of people not knowing who I am to 99.91% of people. And then it goes to 99% of people not knowing who I am. And then it goes to 98.5% of people not knowing who I am. But over time, if we do that, you are going to get more eyeballs on your business. You're going to get more eyeballs on the thing that you are already gifted in. And it's going to benefit you. And it's going to bless your business. And so that's one of the biggest things that I need people to understand when it comes to why you're not marketing, why you're not using, whether it's a book or whatever the case may be, to build the bigger asset, which is your business. Of all the assets that I have today, there is nothing more powerful than the asset of building a business. It is the fastest asset that you can build. It is the most scalable asset that you can build. And honestly, without my businesses, all these other things really, like, these things are not possible without a business that basically just serves more people than a piece of property can serve. Sorry, there's only one family that can stay in any of my homes at any given time, right? There's a family right now in Blue Ridge. They're in my home, but it's only one family. I can't have 15 people. Well, hopefully it's not 15 people there. I can't have 15 people that are in that house. But I can have 15 people buy my book in a day. Are you guys following me? Right? So it just gives you more ability to help more people. And that's the reason why you can make more money via business. Okay. So anyways, I think that's a really big thing. It's a big thing to understand. It gives you context. Now, the other thing that I think is really important is this. I'm doing this podcast right now, and hopefully once I get my studio ready and all that stuff, I'll be having guests back on the podcast, right? But for right now, it's just me. When I have guests on a podcast, okay, what's the first thing I do? The first thing I do is I intro my guests. Okay, I say, hey, this is such and such. Such and such is the owner of this, that, right? Okay, hey, welcome to the podcast. Awesome. Whew, it's great to have you on. And then my guest comes on a podcast and they talk about something. Okay, and you know what a podcast host wants? We want good guests. We want guests that can actually solve problems for our audience. You want to know why? Because then our audience finds value through our podcast. You know who gets the credit? We do. Does guest get the credit too? Yes, but it's our podcast. Okay? So it's a win for us. It's a win for the person that was on the podcast, and it's a win for our guests. And that's what we want. Now, here's a beautiful thing. At the end of every single podcast, when you have on a guest, what does the podcast host say? The podcast host says, hey, Tara, well, all this awesome information you said, where can my audience find out more about you? So if Tara says, oh, you can go to my website. It's tarasuchandsuch.com. Okay, great. They go to the website, they see a bunch of stuff about you. Are they going to do much? No. But if we started the podcast and the host said, Tara is the author of Eliminate Your Pelvic Pain. And then Tara gave all this value in the middle of the podcast. And at the end of the podcast, Tara says, or the podcast host says, Tara, where can they find more about your book? And Tara says, oh, you can go to stopyourpelvicpain.com. And then people go to stopyourpelvicpain.com. The book's there for $20 or $30. And let's just say 500 people listen to the podcast, 20 people actually go to the site, and 10 people buy the book. The book is $20. Well, guess what? Tara just made $200 from her 45-minute episode of the podcast. See, guys, the reality is that you need to market, but can you make marketing work for you? Can you incentivize yourself to do the behaviors that you know you need to do? Just remember this. The majority of you that will go out of business, you're going out of business because you don't market well enough. It has nothing to do with your skill set. It has nothing to do with how gifted you are in the service or the product that you do. It has to do with your marketing. So find ways to be able to incentivize yourself to market more. I think a great way to do that is by having a very, very, very easy way for people to pay you money and for you to give them value. And I think a book is that way. I think a book used to be extremely hard and cumbersome to do. And today, with really good systems, you can have a book done in a matter of a week or two. And I think that's really awesome. So with that said, if you guys are interested in coming to our next two book events in August, I believe are sold out. But we'll probably be doing another one in September, and I'll open that up to the public. It is, there's prep work that has to be done before, but honestly, it's 3 days, and I think it will change your life. I really do. So if you're interested in that, you can text us book event to 813-534-6453. Hopefully the team has listened to this podcast. So when people text book event, just see how many people have interest. And if we need to open up a date in September, we will do so. If not, just keep on marketing. I just think that this might be the best way to be able to do it. And it's working really good for our clients, and I hope it works for you as well. All right. Until next time.